Ken, look, I brought the rice. We better get moving and take this back to the farmer.
Lost media. We can never get enough of the stuff. There's a huge community online devoted to finding works that have since fallen to time, whether it be to relive a happy memory or preserve a legacy. And it seems like every week there's a new major discovery in the community. And that's what this video is about. Here are 6 cases of found lost media. Video games, animation, media from the East and the West, it's all here. Before we begin, it'd be helpful if you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications on future videos. I do have a lost media account email. If you have some information, feel free to hit up my emails. And with that out of the way, let's begin.
Sega Channel rock. Stop just watching TV and start playing Sega Channel.
My favorite kind of lost media, the kind that's tied to a service that was way ahead of its time and has long been since defunct. Back in the 90s, Sega introduced the Sega Channel to the almighty Sega Genesis. It was a service that allowed you to stream games on your Sega. It launched in the States in 1994. This is how games like Alien Soldier, Golden Axe 3, or Mega Man The Wily Wars were playable in the States, even though those titles were released physically in other territories. Some games like Sonic 3D Blast were split up into 2 parts so you could stream them that way. There was even DLC, as Garfield Caught in the Act had a few levels that were only playable via the Sega Channel. It was a cool system, but like so many other products, it was way too ahead of its time. The biggest drawback of the channel was that when you turned off your Genesis, you lost the data for those games. And after July 31st, 1998, you were not able to stream anything at all, as that was when the Sega Channel was discontinued. While a lot of the games on the service did see release elsewhere, or were just weird ports that weren't too worth going out of your way for, however, there were a few exclusives that were worth looking into. Those included the Genesis ports of Waterworld, I Still Think Kevin Costner Had the Sega Channel, The Flintstones, Berenstain Bears, A School Day,
These are the real bad news bears!
Breakthrough, Iron Hammer, and the big one, Garfield, The Lost Levels. Now, some of those titles were released elsewhere or on different platforms. For example, the Lost Levels were included in the Game Gear port of Garfield, but who honestly would rather play the Game Gear version of a game versus the Genesis version? Ultimately, it seemed like the Sega Channel exclusives would be forever lost with the closure of the service. It should be noted that there was a 32X port of Garfield planned at one point, but it didn't get off the ground because the 32X was a bad idea. Behind the scenes, there was a strong effort to recover Sega Channel media. The lost levels appeared at expos throughout 2024, and as it turns out, the Video Game History Foundation was spending the better part of 2 years finding everything they could about the Sega Channel. They announced that they had recovered essentially all the Sega Channel games, including the lost levels. Not only that, they saved a bunch of documentation, paperwork, marketing, basically everything that had to do with the system. Like I said, it took around 2 years for this project to be completed, and it shows. The first piece of the puzzle was meeting Michael Shorrock, who worked on the Sega Channel and kept the documentation. The second piece was meeting a guy named Ray, aka the #1 Sega Channel fan. Not many people can say that they are #1 in the world at something. Ray had a ton of backups that he was willing to share. Between their efforts, they released all the ROMs and documents via Gaming Alexandria. It is so cool to finally have a unique piece of Sega, internet, and gaming history preserved to the best of everyone's ability. This is mostly just an excuse to talk about Garfield. I wonder if Bill Murray could clear Garfield Caught in the Act. If Bill could clear this game, he would be a better gamer than I am. I forgot how almost amazing Garfield Caught in the Act was. If it was not for the nonsense gimmick levels, this game would be actually an amazing platformer. The lost levels don't really help in that regard. I kept getting Cleveland steamrolled by this fat bitch here. She nearly took all my lives. And then in the following level, I kept getting slimed by Goddard from Jimmy Neutron, I think, and then I gave up. Who do you think would win in a fight? Bill Murray with a Garfield stand, or Bill Murray with the Crank and the Hog stand? I also tried the Flintstones game too. It's okay. It's an ocean title, so I wasn't expecting too much. I haven't seen the Flintstones movie in years, and I'm not about to change that. Still, I'm glad these games exist, and I'm glad I got to try them. My favorite part of Garfield Caught in the Act, the Lost Levels, is that there's a stage called Slobbin' Hood. She be slobbing on my hood until she's caught in the act, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's slobbing on my hood. Without Fist of the North Star, it's likely that shonen manga would be very different than it is now. Despite how casually brutal the series is, it's still considered a kid's show.
In Japan,
Toei did have to tone down some of the series content for the animation broadcast. Notice how much black blood and silhouettes are used in the original anime. Still, this kind of censorship is better than having to say unalive or essay in your content. Because apparently we're back in the 4Kids era, and now advertisers think we're all a bunch of poopy babies who can't handle a bit of adult content and, well, our content. I think the worst is essay, because whenever you say that, I just think of Sonic Adventure. And I don't want to think about this masterpiece from reading about horrible crimes committed by people in power. Also, this is a really good collector's set if you can find it. The 1986 movie was an attempt to bring the series to the big screen, and not attached to TV broadcast standards, it could be as violent as possible. Sadly, parents complained too much about the amount of violence shown in the anime, and the Diet of Japan forced Toei to censor the movie. While the censorship in the anime was baked in, the movie had to be censored in post. The theory is that Toei had the final cut ready to go and already had a few screeners, but had to censor it after release. That would explain why the Italian release wasn't fully censored, as they got a reel that wasn't finished with the editing. Despite that, the full uncut Japanese version remained a mystery. With Toei being silent on the issue, it would stay that way for many years to come. In 2015, there was a teaser that the Charles Theater in Baltimore had an uncut reel, and had a screener planned. However, no one at the event could verify if that was truly the uncensored version. In 2024, I heard rumblings that the original movie was found. I distinctly remember fellow YouTuber Sakura Stardust tweeting about it at one point, and I had this topic lined up for my previous Lost Media update video, but opted not to include it as the full movie wasn't found at that time. Thankfully, in 2025, Kineko Video was granted access to the original film reel from an anonymous source, and uploaded it for all to enjoy. My guess that a private collector got their hands on the reel and was willing to share, or someone who worked on the project or knew someone who did, managed to keep the reel safe and sound. No matter the case, they don't want to risk Toei hitting them with a Nanto Suicho Ken. The movie itself is whatever. Trying to get in so much of the manga into one movie doesn't work. Personally, I'd rather just read the manga again. It's just cool to see the movie as was intended before the Diet forced their hand onto Toei. It's funny revisiting Fist of the North Star these days, as manga like Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and Chainsaw Man are not shy about showing extreme amounts of violence. Granted, those shows are much more stylish and aren't quite as visceral as北斗の拳, but without it, those manga likely would not exist. So pay your respects and watch some Fist of the North Star. Otherwise...
You are already drunk.
Show of hands, who has now only just heard of this show? Mega Man Fully Charged was a cartoon made by Man of Action Studios that aired on Cartoon Network back in 2018. While the final show was 3D animated, it was originally going to be 2D. A pilot was animated by Film Roman, and from what I could find, it was made, or at least finished, in 2015. Sadly, Film Roman went belly up and the show changed from 2D to 3D in the final product. There was a clip of the pilot uploaded to YouTube in 2021, but that was it. In 2026, a YouTube user named Derbs uploaded the full pilot to their channel after getting it from an anonymous person who worked on the pilot. I am literally only learning about this show now for this video, and it's no wonder I never heard of it. Mega Man Fully Charged was one of those shows that went through a lot of nonsense behind the scenes. Besides the art shift, it was supposed to air on Disney XD, but at the last minute made the jump to Cartoon Network, who did not bother to advertise it at all. A fate that awesome shows like Justice League Action, Green Lantern, Sonic Boom, basically almost anything that was not Teen Titans Go fell into. Even then, it got a terrible time slot. You would think a Mega Man cartoon launching in the same year as a brand new Mega Man game would be at least worth a few commercials, but no. Between this show's failure and Capcom's large apathy towards the series for the better part of a decade, did not do any favors for the Blue Bomber. At least Mega Man 11 was solid, and Capcom has been good about making sure most of the Mega Man franchise is easily available. Then there was the announcement of a new Mega Man game at the Game Awards 2025. Capcom saving Jeff Keighley's annual waste of time once again. As for the pilot, it was fine. It seemed to adhere to the spirit of the games at least, and I'm sure if this was the final product, it would have been an okay show, regardless of Cartoon Network shenanigans. If you're a Mega Man fan, the pilot is worth a watch. Listen, Capcom, you are doing pretty good with the Mega Man series these days, but there's one important sub-series that you're missing in the franchise. A franchise that I and many others would like to see more of, and maybe you want to put that character in Marvel vs. Capcom 5. It'd be pretty cool. I'm wishing for the impossible here.
She's in love with who I am. Back in high school, I didn't have too many friends. Now I got a crew and we be hanging at the clam. Peter is the man, but I'm not a fan of Glenn, cause he humped my ex-wife. Yeah, my ex-wife.
Family Guy is a show that needs no introduction. It's a classic and one of my all-time favorites. Well, early Family Guy anyway. Like with most shows, a pilot was made. Family Guys was made in 1998 for a lowly $50K within 6 months working out of Seth MacFarlane's crib. The pilot would be Death Has a Shadow, which ended up being the first episode of the show when Fox picked it up. 7 minutes of the pilot could have been seen on the Family Guy Volume 2 box set, plus a few screenshots being shown here or there online. Then in a random sunny 2025 day, an online being known as Ghost the Dead Girl found the pilot via Robert Paulson's website. How bored was this person to go through the websites of Family Guy staff? The punchline is that Paulson had the pilot up on his website since 2022. All of that searching and confusion could have been avoided if someone bothered to go through the motions of link in bio that I, and so many others have. It's basically the same as the final product, but just different enough to show that they hadn't settled on everything yet. And it's still a funny episode. Early Family Guy don't miss. Look, I don't talk a lot about Western animation on this channel, but I love Family Guy. And if I can make a few extra fun bucks off of talking about Family Guy, I'm not going to miss that chance. Plus, if you have a job you love, you never have to work a day in your life. And Lord knows I've had some terrible jobs in my time.
Excuse me, would you like to taste my smoked meat log?
Hey, Beavis, our game got, cancelled. This, sucks. Yeah, Butthead. Now we're never gonna score. I tried. New Level Software was making a game based off the classic cartoon for the PlayStation. It appeared in a magazine in 1999, then vanished. So what happened? The developers were having a hard time getting approvals from MTV, they were inexperienced with 3D game development, and budgetary issues were a concern. Their publisher GTIA was also moving the goalpost during development, making things even more of an uphill battle. While making Beavis and Butthead, they had a chance to pivot towards a Spider-Man game and made a demo of that. Unfortunately for New Level, Activision got the license for Spider-Man and made that game that was awesome on PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast. If someone feels like sending me a Dreamcast copy, that would be pretty sick. Same with all these games. The funds for New Level dried up and they closed their doors in 1998. Hidden Palace, and more specifically the user Bill's Cat Socks, was generously donated the demos of Beavis and Butthead as well as their Spider-Man game. Beavis and Butthead was cancelled at around 50% completion. While the demo is rough, obviously the game was only half complete, so it's hard to say if the final product would have been good or if it would have been able to save New Level games. Still, it's fun to imagine what could have been, and it's cool that this work is preserved. It's also funny that Beavis and Butthead has had at least 2 cancelled games, and now both of them are archived. Funny how that works.
Around these parts, heroes are found in all sorts of places.
It has just occurred to me that I have never talked about this in a long-form video. When Kingdom Hearts hit the scenes, a show for Disney was pitched. Seth Kearsley was to direct it. Him and his team made an animatic and pitched it to Disney, but it got rejected. Not due to quality, in fact everybody who saw it really liked it. The real reason was Disney did not want to interfere with Nomura's vision. Trust me, Disney, no one in the years since then have been able to comprehend Nomura's glue-huffed damaged brain. Kearsley did throw the fans some bones by uploading some of the storyboards to his DeviantArt before that site started using AI to steal from artists. Presumably due to the fear of the House of Mouse coming down on him, Kearsley kept the animatic hidden.
He left his briefcase. Hey, it's full of shredded newspapers.
Then in 2022, he found the tape and backed it up for all to enjoy. Why the change of heart? I'll let the man himself explain.
In January, I was almost killed in a car accident. I was pulling out and my view was kind of blocked, and I got T-boned by a teenager who wasn't paying attention, was on their phone, and didn't even hit the brakes, but they hit me really, really hard. The car did this. It hit so hard. Fractured all of the ribs on this side, half the ribs on this side. 4 of the ribs on this side now have plates because they were completely broken through in 4 places. Fractured both hips. Fractured the right pelvis. Collapsed lung. Lacerated heart. Ruptured spleen. I almost died. And there's some shit that I want to put out in the world that almost never got to be put out in the world, so I'm going to put out in the worlds.
And that's a reason I can get behind. I don't want to meet my maker before I finish my next piece of work. As a creator, your work is how you will be remembered. Frank Hubert will be known for Dune, J.R.R. Tolkien will be remembered for Lord of the Rings, J.K. Rowling will be remembered for being a transphobic piece of fecal dandruff. I would like to be remembered for lifting heavy, drinking like a champion, and making wacky YouTube videos. And curiously will be remembered for A Crazy Night. Peak cinema right there. As for the show, the Kingdom Hearts pilot was solid all things considered. If it was just Sora and pals exploring worlds from Kingdom Hearts 1, that could have made for an entertaining watch. Plus the series was in its infancy, so condensing the first game into a 26 episode animation could have worked. There have been rumors of a Kingdom Hearts series for Disney Plus in the years since, but nothing has manifested. Even ignoring the labyrinthine plots, the worlds that Sora and pals go to have different stories, art styles, voices. It would be an absolute nightmare to keep it consistent throughout a 26 episode cartoon. Granted, Disney is no stranger to throwing a bunch of money at shitty projects. Even then, a lot of the Disney worlds that Sora visits are just retreads of the original story. You have already seen Frozen a million times. Watching it again with 2/3 of the plot cut out just to see Sora running around is not going to make it any better. It would be better than Frozen 2, but I digress. There's also the option of just focusing on the original cast, like the Disney Island Trio and Organization 13, but that would not be as fun without the Disney stuff. The window for a Kingdom Hearts show has long since passed in my opinion. Curiously's animatic gave us a taste of what could have been, and I'm happy that his work is preserved for many years to come.
Ahead lie many worlds to save. Sora will find strength in the hope that he will once again be with his friends, Kairi and Riku.
I asked my community tab page, what is your holy grail of lost media? And in this poll, Slamfest99 took it. I already know if this thing is ever found, El Supersonic Q is going to splooge so much it's going to be able to fill up at least 12 jars. Well, everything on this list I personally would love to find, especially the Tokyo Toy Show build. Beyond this, I would love to find Far Nation, the Dreamcast game that was allegedly far in development but had no screenshots or videos of it leak online. There are 2 demo discs out there and I want one. And of course, the Kid Rock and Scott Stapp love tape. I know that has to be really stupid, but given the kind of girls that Kid Rock is into, it might be illegal to find, but I guess there's a reason why it's lost media. Speaking of Disney, here's Uncle Walt. This was an unofficial short made by then student Robert Swarth. He finished the project in 1964 and it had at least one public screener in 1972. Since then, Uncle Walt vanished until January 2026. Naturally, a lot has happened in those years. I think the reason why Uncle Walt was so elusive is that Swarth more than likely made the thing as a joke and did not want to dwell on his early works, especially one that's a raunchy, unofficial Disney project, and especially at a time when Walt Disney himself was still alive. Smart move to keep that safe so you don't get blacklisted from the entire animation industry. Since that public screener in '72, Uncle Walt became something of an urban legend, the most prominent one being that Uncle Walt was made as a joke within Disney. That's not unbelievable. I can imagine animators making jokes in their free time, and that's how Uncle Walt was perceived among Disney and animation nerds prior to the lost media scene hearing about it. More info about Uncle Walt started to emerge over the years. The Academy Film Archives got Uncle Walt and several other Swarth films in their collection. In January 2024, it was announced that there was going to be a Blu-ray release that had all of Mickey Mouse's public domain adventures on it. You know, stuff like Steamboat Willie or Mickey's Anal Adventures. That was a good one. Uncle Walt was going to be included in that Blu-ray, but didn't. Not due to legal issues, mind you, but apparently due to Swarth's wishes. In August of that same year, a film reel went up for auction and sold for a whopping $172. I could have bought it myself, but more likely I was either asleep at the gym or probably hungover. At that time, the myth of Uncle Walt had not spread out to the lost media scene, so that would explain the low sale price. So while that reel was sold, that was not the reel that got backed up onto YouTube. This is where an important figure enters stage left. On one Mr. Unky NPC. He has a mini documentary on his channel about how he got the reel and backed it up online. I'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. I hate it when you have to quote a fellow YouTuber's video for your own video, because you're just summarizing their hard work for a few extra clicks. Anyway, a second reel was put up for auction on eBay, and Unky NPC footed the bill to get the second reel before other collectors could hoard it. He spent about $1 grand on the second reel, then got it digitized and uploaded it to the internet. After watching it, Uncle Walt is certainly out there. You could tell that it was made by someone who wanted to make a statement and made it as weird as possible. It was not shy about showing the darker and racist side of Disney that might lead to their downfall. 100 years later, I think it's going to take a bit more than some racism to take down the House of Mouse. Overcharging for Disneyland and Disney Plus, and potentially filling Disney Plus with a bunch of AI slop, that might do the trick, but not before Kingdom Hearts 4 releases. At the same time, I could tell that Uncle Walt was made by someone just starting their career, and they were going to have a long and prosperous one ahead of them, and did not want to ruin it by showing Goofy as a pimp. Gosh, them hoes better be stacking them papers. Yucca? It's a bold cartoon, and definitely worth a watch. According to Unky, the 2 reels that were up on eBay were actually bootlegs. The original had some colored scenes and some minor differences. It's hard to tell because of the age of the short, and the fact that Swarth is old as hell. Remember, he was in college when Walter Disney was still alive. You do the math. Swarth has a bunch of shorts that have not been seen since. In Unky's video, he played clips of Swarth saying that he would like to make a DVD collection of his works. Why he has not, I do not know. Swarth ain't getting any younger. Do it and preserve your legacy, or don't and fade away. You can see 2 different creator philosophies here between him and Kearsley. Kearsley had a near-death experience, and when his time comes, he doesn't want his work to be forgotten. Swarth definitely has the resources to archive all of his work. He just has not for one reason or another. And neither viewpoint is wrong. I've made plenty of crap videos that I am not proud of. At the same time, if I am to meet my maker before I get my next video out, I would hate that. I want my voice, my work, my art to be archived for years to come. It's a sign that I existed. My words will carry on and in a way, becoming immortal even with my body long since gone. And that goes the same for any creator that has passed. So what's your move, Swarth? I don't know why a short that features Centaur prostitutes got me to think about my own mortality and legacy, but here we are. And there you have it. There is some found lost media finished, and I hope you enjoyed it. While it's no longer lost anymore, it's always a huge W whenever something is found in the scene. Again, you're preserving a memory, you're preserving a legacy. And as a creator, I personally would hate it if all my work was just forgotten at the time. But it's good to know no matter your niche, there is going to be at least one person out there trying to make sure your work is preserved. Plus, it's good to preserve actual human-made work before AI's crap is just jammed down our throats like a really big ball gag. Oh god. So let's be a lesson, just keep making, keep creating, and keep archiving. You never know when you're going to find the next big thing in the lost media scene. Plus, let's just take a minute to appreciate that this is one of the rare lost media videos that does not include Sonic, Pokemon, SpongeBob, or Doraemon. I think that is worth a drink. So leave me some comments. What was your favorite part of this video? Or what is something that you personally would like to find? Let me know down there in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell as well for notifications on future videos. You can follow me on all the social media sites like Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok @ZMangs. And with that, I'm going to finish my drink, and I'll see you in the next video. Later, everybody. Take care.